So it's time to do a really fun video, and as a Utah native, I love this state that I've called home for my entire life. And if you're considering making the move to Utah yourself, you're definitely going to want to take advantage of all that Utah has to offer. With the most diverse landscape of any state in the nation, I think that Utah offers some variety to your lifestyle, and not only the outdoors, but the urban setting as well, and everything in between. And it all comes together in such a really cool way. I think Utah's a really special place, and I think it shows up in my conversations right here on my YouTube channel and throughout my videos that I've created about the state of Utah. But in this video, I'm highlighting the 25 things that you should not wait to do if you're coming to visit or you're coming to live here. These are things that even locals should definitely take advantage of. You don't want to miss any of these beautiful things. And this is honestly just a very short list of the many things that you could do and experience in the state of Utah. But let's kick it off and let's get started. Number 1 through 25. And first on the list is one of my favorite activities, and that is snowmobiling up in the Uinta Mountains. The Uinta Mountains are just directly east of downtown Salt Lake City. It takes about an hour to get to the beginning of the Uinta Mountains, just east of Park City and east of the small towns of Oakley and Camas. Those Uinta Mountains are just amazing. They're actually the tallest mountains in Utah and one of 2 mountain ranges here in Utah that are part of the Rocky Mountains that extend through the United States and up into Canada. And if you've never experienced snowmobiling through 5 feet of powdery snow, you really haven't experienced what the great outdoors has to offer in a very unique setting. I think the best way to describe snowmobiling is kind of the best of both worlds between riding ATVs and riding a jet ski in the water, because it kind of feels like both. And when you combine those 2 things, it's honestly one of the greatest experiences you could have in the great outdoors. And one of my favorite parts about snowmobiling is that when you get up into those peaceful areas, it's dead quiet, because the snow not only acts as an insulator of sound, but it really is a pristine and natural environment that is just, it feels like it's untouched. It's absolutely amazing. You've got to give it a shot. And there are many opportunities through the state of Utah to go on snowmobile excursions, whether that be Heber Valley or up Daniel Summit towards Strawberry Reservoir, or it's maybe out in the Uintas or up north in Bear Lake. There's a lot of really cool places to go experience snowmobiling in the great outdoors. And we can't talk about snow without talking about number 2 on the list, and that is to experience skiing in the greatest snow on earth. So why does Utah carry the moniker of the greatest snow on earth? Well, it's some of the driest and highest quantities of snow that you'll find anywhere in the nation. The snow, because of the impact of the climate here, is just some of the driest snow you'll ever experience, which if you're a skier or snowboarder, or if you enjoy snowmobiling or these winter activities, you'll know and understand fully that a powder day is unmatched and there's nothing quite like it. And the powder here in Utah is absolutely amazing, especially up the Cottonwood Canyons just directly east of downtown Salt Lake City. These 4 ski resorts up the Cottonwood Canyons receive more snow than just about every ski resort in North America. In fact, 2 of the ski resorts happen to be my favorites up Little Cottonwood Canyon in Alta and Snowbird. These are amazing places to experience, and they attract visitors from all over the world to experience what Utah has to offer with respect to the greatest snow on earth. All right, number 3, let's flip the script. Let's go completely opposite of what we've talked about here, and let's go all the way down to the southeast corner of the state of Utah, and let's experience standing in 4 states at once. There's actually a monument at the 4 corners where 4 states come to a point at what we call the 4 corners, and it's actually the only place in the United States of America where you can be in 4 states at once. Now, the novelty of it will wear off, but it's still very cool to experience, and the landscape around the southeast corner of the state is absolutely amazing, and you could take advantage of other things that are right there to be seen, including Monument Valley and Moab, which of course will make this list later on, so we'll save those for later. But let's move on to number 4. And number 4 is to spend a night under the stars in southern Utah. Southern Utah has some of the least light pollution of anywhere in the nation. Therefore, it's one of the best places to go stargazing. You'll notice a lot of people take time-lapse photography in Arches National Park or in Canyonlands or other areas that are absolutely breathtaking. And when you get to experience the night sky on a clear night in southern Utah, and you get to partake of the stars and you can see the Milky Way with your own eyes without using filters or any photography tricks, it's absolutely amazing, and you've got to take advantage of it. All right, let's stay in southern Utah for the next few talking points. And for number 5, let's go for an ATV adventure in Kanab. Kanab is a small town in southern Utah, and the trail systems and the outdoor opportunities and the trails for ATVs specifically scenery are absolutely amazing. You'll be able to experience southern Utah in all its glory in a very different way than what you're going to experience in the national parks, because of course ATVs are not allowed inside of the national parks. So an ATV ride in and around the town of Kanab is absolutely awesome. And by the way, if we haven't met yet, my name is Scott Steele, and I'm a local real estate broker here in Utah. I help people make the move to Utah successfully each and every day. Multiple people reach out to me each and every day right here from my YouTube channel. So if that's you, reach out to me. You can find my information down below. And as a Utah expert and someone who talks to countless people about all things Utah, the next thing on the list is really cool. And if I were to poll locals, people that are from Utah, as to what is one of their favorite places in the entire state of Utah, you'd be shocked that it's actually not one of the national parks. It's actually Lake Powell. Now, Lake Powell sits in the southern portion of the state. It's actually the second largest reservoir in the United States of America, second only to Lake Mead, which just runs downstream along the Colorado River. So as the snow melts in Colorado and up in Wyoming and throughout the Rockies, it feeds into river systems that then feed into the Colorado River, which makes its way into Utah near the town of Moab, and it cuts through the canyons of southern Utah, creating what we have now, which is Lake Powell. Now, the dam for Lake Powell sits just across the Arizona border, and as that water exits Lake Powell, it cuts directly right through and creates the Grand Canyon, and then makes its way down to Lake Mead, providing water for so much of the Southwest, including Southern California. But my favorite thing about Lake Powell is to experience the beautiful red rock cliffs with the really beautiful water. And if you can ever have the opportunity to experience Lake Powell on a houseboat, along with a ski boat and other toys, it's a dream come true. It's really cool. And funny story, I have a close friend who had an accident this last summer while they were boating in Lake Powell on a houseboat and got the boat high-centered. That can be an incredibly costly mistake. So it's not something for amateurs. You've got to make sure that you know what you're doing, but Lake Powell is absolutely incredible. All right, moving on to number 7. Now, if we go directly west of Lake Powell towards Zion National Park, I'm going to list this as one of the top things you need to experience, and that is hiking the Narrows through Zion's National Park. Zion National Park is the most visited national park in Utah of the 5 that we have. We affectionately call our 5 national parks the Mighty 5, but Zion reigns supreme in terms of visitorship with just over 5 million visitors per year, making it the 3rd most visited national park in the entire country. And what better way to experience Zion than actually getting down on the bottom and hiking the Narrows? There's really beautiful water that cuts through these slot canyons and creates a landscape that feels like you're in a different climate altogether. It's really cool. You've got to experience it. All right, number 8, let's actually now talk about the most visited tourist destination in the entire state of Utah that's not a national park, and that is Temple Square. If you've been through Salt Lake City in the last 4 to 5 years, you've likely noticed that Temple Square is undergoing some major renovations. The renovations taking place at Temple Square to retrofit the Salt Lake Temple with seismic controls and the ability to put these pylons underneath the temple so that an earthquake of a high magnitude will not destroy it is pretty cool to see the efforts that are taking place, and it still even has a couple years to go. Now, when they finish this temple and they actually get this thing put back together and they rebuild Temple Square, it's going to have a very different vibe in that it's not going to have a big block wall that surrounds Temple Square. And they're kind of trying to tear those walls down and make it more inviting for people and visitors just to simply enjoy the scenery and walk through and experience Temple Square. Now, I've had numerous people come visit and they all want to go check out Temple Square just because it is something that is a very high point of interest. It's really cool. It's under construction, but in a couple of years, it will be complete and will be probably visited more than it ever was before. So Temple Square is definitely on the list. All right, moving on to number 9, it's time for a road trip. And what better road trip to make than go down south to southern Utah and drive through Monument Valley? If you've ever seen the movie Forrest Gump, because honestly, who hasn't at this point, you'll remember the scene where Tom Hanks, playing the role of Forrest Gump, ended his coast to coast to coast running right there in Monument Valley, where he decided that he's tired now. And so it's kind of a really cool place. It's in a lot of movies, of course, and you'll also notice that it's used in a lot of tourist material with respect to Utah. So Monument Valley, totally worth seeing. You've got to make that road trip. And while you're on that road trip, you might as well hit number 9, and that is to take in the scenery at Bryce Canyon National Park. Bryce Canyon National Park isn't actually a canyon. It feels more like an amphitheater displaying the hoodoos, the rock formations in this this majestic sandstone empire of hoodoos that just act as like pillars throughout this amphitheater, this place that you get to experience Bryce Canyon. The views are breathtaking, the photo ops are incredible, and all your friends will be jealous that you got to see Bryce Canyon as well. And if you're really adventurous and you want to hit the next talking point, the next place, you're going to have to get a permit to do this, but that is to hike Angel's Landing at Zion National Park. So if you've noticed, the most dangerous hike in the entire country is Angel's Landing, and you need a permit to do it. I personally don't know very many people in Utah that have actually done the hike because it is pretty intimidating, but a lot of people do. And if you're brave enough, it's a really cool experience that you can't duplicate anywhere else in the country. So make sure you've got insurance and make sure your family's taken care of before you make that trip. And if you're not quite ready to go hike Angel's Landing, there are plenty of other hikes around as well. Okay, look, if you're getting value from the content that I create here, hit that subscribe button if I've earned it, because I love to stay in touch and make sure that you get to see every video that I upload each and every week, because Utah has so much to offer and I don't want to miss the opportunity. So hit that subscribe button if I've earned it. Now, moving on to number 12, it's the Sundance Film Festival. This is located in Park City. There's talks that Sundance could end up moving to a different city. I'm hoping that that's not the case, because Sundance Film Festival is native to the state of Utah and I believe that it truly belongs here. So Sundance Film Festival is coming up in just a little over a week, and it runs through into the month of February. Sundance attracts people and visitors from all over the world, especially celebrities, including actors and many other celebrities. Utah really draws in a major scene. If you're driving through Park City or if you're walking on Main Street, you're likely going to see a lot of celebrities here during the Sundance Film Festival. All right, next up, number 13, one of the most iconic images of the state of Utah is Delicate Arch. What better way to experience Utah than to go on that short hike, to hike up to Delicate Arch and actually walk and stand beneath it? It is huge, it is enormous, it's really breathtaking to take in that scene. And there's actually a bowl of sandstone that you can lay around. You can actually sit there with up to thousands of people if you wanted to, and just take it all in and enjoy the beautiful scenery of southern Utah, standing or walking beneath Delicate Arch. All right, next up, number 14, let's move back up to northern Utah, right here close to my office here in Cottonwood Heights, and let's head right up Big Cottonwood Canyon and enjoy the great outdoors with a picnic. There are many picnic sites as well as hikes, including hikes to waterfalls and lakes right up Big Cottonwood Canyon within minutes of the city, and it's a great way to break the routine and the monotony of daily life and just break out of your norm and just hop up into the canyon, go take in some fresh air, go experience nature a little bit. It's really easy to do on a weekday, a weeknight, or of course, especially a weekend, even though they're busier on weekends. But taking a little time to go experience those great outdoors is the best mental health check-in that I've ever seen before. So totally worth it, and it's really close to the city. All right, number 15 on the list, let's go mountain biking. And what better place to go mountain biking in the state of Utah than Slick Rock? Slick Rock is a trail and a system of trails that are located right outside of Moab. So Moab, which is one of Utah's many places known as a playground, has this amazing trail system and trail for mountain biking called Slick Rock. And for those who are really into mountain biking, it's one of those bucket list items. You've got to experience mountain biking on Slick Rock. All right, moving on, number 16, let's go experience Oktoberfest up at Snowbird Ski Resort. So before the ski season begins, throughout the summer, Snowbird is a really big attraction. A lot of people go hiking, they go stay up in Snowbird. It's beautiful, it's absolutely breathtaking in the summer when everything's green and lush, but when Oktoberfest kicks in and the fall weather kicks in, the crowds show up. It is really cool. I've taken my family there numerous times. There are games, there are rides, there's all sorts of fun things to do. And it's honestly something you could do with the whole family, even though a lot of people there are going to drink as well. So despite Utah's reputation, it does have a really healthy and robust Oktoberfest right there up Little Cottonwood Canyon at Snowbird Ski Resort. All right, number 17 on the list, let's head back down the canyon into Sandy, in the heart of the business district of Sandy, and let's attend a play at the Hell Center Theater. The Hell Center Theater is one of the best venues in the Western United States for the performing arts. It's a really cool place to experience, and it's a really well done production no matter which one you're going to. Totally worth it. My wife loves going there. I actually love going there with her as well, and I know a lot of people that choose to purchase season tickets to experience all of the different productions that they put on at Hell Center Theater. All right, number 18 on the list. We haven't talked about this one yet. Let's head back down near Moab and experience Arches National Park. One of my favorite memories growing up in Utah was being able to go explore all these different areas, to go river rafting on the Colorado River, to go mountain biking on Slick Rock, to go experience Arches National Park and go hiking up to the hundreds, if not thousands of different arches that you'll find in Arches National Park. And you'll find little lizards all over the place and you'll be able to go and explore. It's just a really cool place to take the family. You can go experience what Utah really has to offer. And honestly, it's one of the most iconic things about Utah is Arches National Park. And if the national parks are too busy for you, moving on to number 19 on the list, let's head out to a state park completely removed from the national parks and let's head over to Little Sahara. Now, Little Sahara is just about an hour and a half south of Salt Lake City, and it's a really cool place to go ride the sand dunes. We have amazing sand dunes here in Utah, and maybe they don't quite rival some of the biggest sand dunes in the world, but they do offer everything that you'd ever want with respect to riding the sand dunes. They even have what they call Sand Mountain, where you can actually climb a large mountain of sand. It's really cool. It's a very popular place to be, especially on its biggest weekend of the year, which happens to be Easter weekend, when over 60,000 people attend. So it can be a very dangerous place, as oftentimes the crowds get really rowdy, as well as dangerous with high-speed toys and alcohol mixed. But if you hit it on one of the off weekends, that's not one of those major weekends, it is absolutely amazing to experience and so much fun. And if that type of action and that type of danger is just a little too much for you, let's go on and move on to number 20 on the list, and let's go do a photo session out at the Bonneville Salt Flats. Now, the Bonneville Salt Flats sit directly west of Salt Lake City, about an hour and a half away. It's removed from the Salt Lake Valley completely and outside of the Great Salt Lake. And this entire area and region on the western side of the state used to be what was known as the ancient Lake Bonneville. The remains of this lake happen to be the Great Salt Lake, but what it left behind are these amazing salt flats. This is one of the premier destinations for photographers, for photo sessions, but not only that, it's the place where most of the land speed records have been set. So there are definitely things like Speed Week and other events that happen out there on the Bonneville Salt Flats where people are pushing the limits of speed with their high-speed cars that go hundreds of miles per hour. It's kind of really cool to experience. You've got to go check it out. And the photo opportunities in and of itself are absolutely amazing. And if that drive out to the Bonneville Salt Flats is a little too far for you, moving on to number 21, if it's late September or the first week of October, the best drive and one of the top 5 best scenic byways in the entire country at that time of year is to go check out and drive through the Alpine Loop. The Alpine Loop is accessed through American Fork Canyon, just on the northern end of Utah County, right outside of the towns of Alpine and Cedar Hills and Highland and Lehigh. It's absolutely amazing, and it can take you up and over the mountain and drop down into Sundance Ski Resort. It's one of the most beautiful and scenic byways in the entire country, especially when you're trying to experience the fall foliage at that time of year. And number 22 on the list, I can't leave out the 5th and least visited national park in Utah in Capitol Reef National Park. Capitol Reef is the least visited national park in Utah because of its location right in the center of the state, and it's a little more challenging to get to through smaller roads, but Capitol Reef is completely underrated. In fact, I've read blog posts of travelers who actually think that their favorite state park in the entire state of Utah happens to be Capitol Reef. So yes, it's completely underrated, but it is a national park for a reason. It has incredible monoliths that pop up. It has incredible canyons and red rock. It is absolutely breathtaking. You've got to go make that drive and explore for a day or two through Capitol Reef National Park. Okay, we're getting close. Number 23 on the list. Let's go experience a sunset out at Antelope Island State Park. Antelope Island sits in the middle of the Great Salt Lake. It's accessible right here from the Wasatch Front. It doesn't take long to get there if you live in Salt Lake City or anywhere around Salt Lake City. Totally achievable within just an hour or so. You could be right out there at Antelope Island experiencing nature at its finest. There are bison, there are foxes, there are deer, there are all sorts of wildlife, but my favorite part about Antelope Island is to see a beautiful sunset sunset. It's absolutely breathtaking as you look west over the Great Salt Lake as that sun sets from Antelope Island, and there's not a city with light pollution behind you. It's really cool to experience. And moving on in the list, number 24 is something that I did a lot when I was growing up, and that's going and visiting one of the top national recreation areas in Utah in Flaming Gorge National Recreation Area. Flaming Gorge National Recreation Area is a reservoir that sits in the northeast corner of the state, right up against Wyoming. And this is one of the most breathtaking lakes or reservoirs that you get to experience because it cuts through the canyon walls. You get to fish for all sorts of different fish. And if you're really into fishing, so many of the state record fish, including the largest fish ever caught in the state of Utah, was caught at Flaming Gorge. Flaming Gorge is world renowned for fishing, but one of my favorite things about Flaming Gorge is that you get to see bald eagles. Bald eagles are beautiful. You'll see bald eagles nests, and a lot of these bald eagles, I think, they migrate from the northwest and they get away from the tougher winters up north in Canada and Alaska, and they come down here, and it's really breathtaking to experience. All right, here we are, number 25. You've got to go experience and photograph Goblin State Park. Goblin State Park is something like you've never seen before. It almost looks like it's AI created. If you've ever been able to see a picture of Goblin Valley, it doesn't even look real. But if you go there in person, you'll be able to take it in. It's really cool. And there's so many other places right around Goblin Valley that you can go explore as well. You can check out hieroglyphics. You can check out slot canyons in the San Rafael Swell, in Little Wild Horse. There's so many cool places to go explore in this less discovered region in central Utah because it sits outside of the national parks, but Goblin Valley is really cool. So did I leave something off the list? Drop a comment below. Let me know. Did I leave something off of this list of the 25 things that you should experience if you've visited Utah before, or perhaps you're looking and considering and making a move to Utah yourself? Well, that's why we're here. My team and I would love to be your real estate resource of choice. You can reach out to me and find my contact information in the description below. You can also book a call with us in that link that's provided in the pinned comment on this and every video. We look forward to talking to you and serving you and making sure that you get to experience Utah just as we do. And if you're looking to learn more about life in Utah, check out this playlist next. And until next time, thanks.